I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the business is. I was so good, like this where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. When you and God in time are best aligned.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and White House correspondent. Guess what? Not at the White House. I'm here at home in LA. In LA today with you in afternoon drive time. As always, I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on social media. At Dr. Nii-Quartelai, just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or just tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That is the sure enough way to not miss an episode. For all of you subscribers out there, you probably recently got a push notification of some of our latest episodes. And so be sure to dig right on in. Lots of incredible conversations with folks that are shaping the culture, with people providing expert analysis, with leaders on the front lines. And so run, don't walk. To your podcast subscription to tap in. All right. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Starting off right here in LA County. Pasadena Now is reporting that LA County supervisors designate Altadena's first historic district. The LA County Board of Supervisors just this past Tuesday voted to approve the county's first ever historic district and landmark designation in Altadena, marking a milestone in the preservation of the area's architectural and cultural heritage. This newly adopted ordinance, it adds the northern portion of the historic Highlands neighborhood to Title 22 of the LA County Code, officially recognizing the historic Highlands district, the Highlands Historic District. The district comprises 77 parcels, primarily early 20th century single-family residences, and it enters the county register effective immediately upon adoption. And so I don't know about you, but I thought that this had happened a long time ago. I thought that this had happened before the fires, but it's better late than never. The designation reflects the recommendations of the Historical Landmarks and Records Commission and the Regional Planning Commission following years of community engagement and local advocacy. Did you know that more than 50% of property owners in the area supported the proposal exceeding the county's threshold for historic district consideration. So lots of folks lifting their voices over a long period of time for this kind of designation. Guess what? It happened. Thank you to the LA County Board of Supervisors for making sure that our history is never lost and never forgotten. Moving along across the pond, France recognized Palestinian statehood. At least that's what the French leader, the French President Emmanuel Macron, is saying. President Macron announced today that France would recognize the state of Palestine as a part of its historical commitment to a just, durable peace in the Middle East. In a surprise statement on X, followed by months of hinting and hesitation over possible French recognition of the Palestinian state, he said that he would make a formal announcement to that effect at the United Nations General Assembly in September in New York. But today, he said the most urgent thing to do is that the war in Gaza cease and civilian population be helped. His statement came as anger is mounted across the world over the continued Israeli military operation in Gaza and growing starvation there. France would become the first, not the United States, France. That's right. I said it right. France would become the first of the group of 7 major industrialized nations, also including the United States, Britain, Canada, Germany, Japan, and Italy, to recognize a Palestinian state. The decision appears likely to irk the Trump administration as it stands behind Israel and pursues its own attempts to end the war in Gaza. In other news, afternoon thunderstorms are knocking out power to more than 50,000 customers. That's right. If you have friends and family in the Chicago area, you may want to send them a text. You may want to send them a call. You may want to check on them because these afternoon thunderstorms moving through the Chicago area gave a brief reprieve from the extreme heat that had plagued the city since last week, but it's triggered more than 1,000 power outages affecting nearly 50,000 customers. As of 5:09 p.m. Local time, there were 1,055 reported outages affecting 51,210 customers in Cook County. The National Weather Service issued a severe thunderstorm warning this afternoon, cautioning people about strong wind gusts. And according to Tom Dominguez, he's a spokesperson, he said that the spike in outages came as a result of strong winds. And so be careful out there. To all of our leaders, learners, and listeners, all of our friends and family in Cook County, in Chicago, be careful out there. Make sure you're paying attention to what local officials are advising. Again, don't play with those wind gusts out there, and don't play with the fact that these thunderstorms are also a danger. But let me tell you something. Not even severe thunderstorms in Chicago is going to stop our next guest from joining us. When we come forward, I'll be joined by Tom. I'll be joined with the incredible expertise of Todd Belcore. Todd Belcore, he's the executive director of Social Change. He's a civil rights lawyer. And as always, he'll be joining us to separate the facts from the fiction. Detainees at the so-called alligator Alcatraz have got a message out to the people. We're going to amplify that voice when we come forward. In addition, Trump is suing New York City over sanctuary city policies. What does that mean for New York? What might that mean for cities like Los Angeles, where we're broadcasting live? Todd Belcore has an idea of what that might mean, and we're going to talk to him when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
One thing, yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
Y'all ready for Gillette's best shave? Try Gillette Labs with 5 ultra-thin blades, a built-in exfoliating bar, a precision trimmer on the back for sharp lineups. Gillette Labs delivers that smooth shave. Plus, and check this out, with one refill, you'll get up to 30 shaves. And on average, the blades last 50% longer than Gillette Fusion. Got something special coming up and you gotta look good? Check out Gillette Labs, the best a man could get. Gillette Labs also available in heated.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me! National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and this gentleman right here is Todd Belcore. He is the executive director of social change, and we're so glad to have you back with us, Todd. You doing well, Todd?
Good, doctor. Let me throw my Wi-Fi on. Anything here?
And so, Todd, while you're joining us, let me just sort of set the table a little bit for our leaders, learners, and listeners. NBC News reporting that there are detainees that are being held at Alligator Alcatraz, and they're describing it as cage-like units swarmed by mosquitoes. Legal advocates and relatives of immigrant detainees held in Florida's notorious, again, Alligator Alcatraz, they're demanding the closure of the state-run facility as allegations of human rights violations and other immigration detention centers there and at other immigration detention centers is mounting. Todd, how serious is this, and how serious, should we the people be taking Alligator Alcatraz?
We should be taking this as seriously as anything as we can. I mean, this is essentially state-sponsored terrorism. This is state-sponsored torture. This is state-sponsored war on residents in this country. I mean, we have constitutional protections for a reason. We have the Eighth Amendment to protect people from cruel and unusual punishment. We have the Bill of Rights to make sure everyone who's in this country has some basic rights to protect them from mistreatment and abuse. And all those things are being violated as we speak by this administration. So if there's any time to sound the alarm, it's certainly now, because when you hear about people in conditions that can't be thought of as anything else but being in torture, you can only go to the bathroom 3 times a week. When you have lights on you all day, you're not permitted to sleep. Or when you're, swarmed by bugs and insects, and you even have fungus growing on you, and all these things that are so abhorrent, it's even shocking to the conscience to even say out loud. That's the definition which cruel and unusual punishment is, and that's a direct violation of the Constitution. And the fact that this administration is so emboldened and comfortable with their position that they're not even trying to do anything to actually change or address the conditions. In fact, they're doing even more to ramp up efforts to round people up, shows us everything we need to know about whether we should say now is the time or another time. We can't wait any longer.
Are we watching the very definition of cruel and unusual punishment? Are we watching that very definition change right before our very eyes?
Well, I don't see how it could change. I mean, anytime it shocks the conscience to hear about it. If you hear about people who aren't allowed to sleep, you hear about people who can only use the bathroom a few days a week. If you hear about people being swarmed by insects and having an actual fungus and mold growing on their body, that's enough to make anyone and their stomach turn. I mean, that's enough for you to realize, well, that's not a way to detain people and send them to another country. That's a way to torture people while they're still here. And that's something that's directly prohibited by the Constitution. The administration knows it, but it's still continuing to do it. That's why it's that much more important for people like you, good doctor, to sound the alarm, but for other people to do the same.
The Trump administration is pushing quickly to ramp up immigration arrests, and that has led to overcrowding at immigration and customs enforcement facilities. As of June 20th, according to NBC News, more than 56,000 people were spending the night in detention centers nationwide on any given day. That's 40% more than June 2024, and the highest detention population in U.S. history. This is all according to Human Rights Watch. My sense is that things are going to get a whole lot worse before they get better. Talk to us about how you see things getting worse, not just over at Alligator Alcatraz, as it's called, but what are you seeing on the ground in places like Chicago, where you are, that are giving you pause?
Yeah, whether it be places like Chicago, places like LA, places like New York, where we value human rights, we value people's dignity, and have sanctuary cities to protect people from exactly this type of treatment. This sort of torture, this sort of inhumane sort of exposure to not only insects, but mold, all these things that can permanently change someone's life expectancy. This is something that we're actively working as advocates, but as community members on the ground to protect people from. Not that people shouldn't have to, adhere to due process and have their day if they've come here without papers or whatever. But we're saying, in the process of considering people for those allegations, treat them like human beings. That is the American way. And what's going on right now is not only anti-American and not patriotic, it's actually going to create more unrest within the country. That's going to create a very dangerous atmosphere politically and socially that I don't think the administration is prepared for.
Janice Ferdinand Diaz, the mother of Michael Borrego Ferdinand, a Cuban national being held in Alligator Alcatraz, called for the facility's closure just this past Tuesday in a complaint. 4 people being held in Alligator Alcatraz and their attorneys, they allege that the federal government has interfered with the ability to access detainees and provide them counsel, as well as the harsh and inhumane detention in the facilities that we've been talking about. You are a civil rights lawyer. Talk to us about the threat that this poses. Attorneys not even being able to be put in contact with their clients. Last time I checked as a non-lawyer, when we're read our Miranda rights, we're told that we have the right to an attorney, even if we cannot afford one. Well, it seems that these folks are being denied their right, no?
Not only are they being denied the right, as you're saying, good doctor, what's happening on top of that is they're being subjected to torturous conditions. And what that means in reality is not only are you not able to have an advocate to speak out for you to make sure to fight and protect you, when you're exposed to those sort of conditions, you're more likely to act irrationally. So you may talk back, you may get into a fight, you may do something that may be out of character, that may be used later to justify continue to abuse you, continue to mistreat you, and continue to dehumanize you. So that's actually what the administration, I think there's no other way to calculate, but must be their goal. So you put people in these sort of circumstances, these kind of sinister, evil circumstances, and you have a record number of people in a very small space who are able to eat without any sort of dignity, who aren't using the bathroom with any dignity, aren't even sleep with any dignity. Eventually, people have their own nature rises to try to fight back against that mistreatment. And the fight back is what they're hoping for, so they can continue to demonize people who are just here, trying to work, trying to take care of their families just like everyone else. So the denial council, yes, that's absolutely a deprivation of constitutional rights. But there's a purpose here, not only just to mistreat, but to kind of gaslight an entire community of people inside and outside of detainment so they can continue to justify the poor policies that are being brought down from above.
Todd, let me ask you this. We know that there are reports that Alligator Alcatraz is not a traditional detention facility since it's operated and financed by the state of Florida to enforce federal immigration laws. Talk to us about how unusual is that, and do we expect to see much more of that, not just in Florida, but in other parts of the country as this administration prepares to ramp up their mass deportation efforts?
I think you can expect to see more of this. I think this is unfortunately a blueprint that's going to be replayed in places like Texas and places where the governor is friendly enough with the administration for it to be something that could be considered. Roundly, you can see why everyone who's cares about the Constitution and cares about patriotism in this country would be rejected outright. But there is enough of a concern of that there are governors who want to look good for the current president, that they'll say yes to this, knowing all the risk involved. And that's why it's that much important for advocates to remain vigilant and to also do everything possible to shut down the current Alligator Alcatraz so there's nothing else that's replicated that's that or worse throughout the nation.
There are reports just shortly before we went on air, Bloomberg and other outlets are reporting that the Trump administration is suing New York City over their sanctuary city policies. A lot of folks sort of expected at some point the administration was going to make this move, but for folks who are less familiar, New York City's sanctuary city policies, they're saying they're unconstitutional and that it makes it harder for the federal immigration officers to do their jobs. And so the U.S. Justice Department has filed a federal suit today. What do you make of the filing of this suit? And given the points that the Trump administration has been able to put on the board in terms of their wins in court around this issue, how troubling is this for folks that make it their business to protect the civil rights and civil liberties of all of us?
You're right. This is a grave concern, but you're also right in saying this is something that's not unexpected. The president has been talking about targeting sanctuary cities as one of his talking points before running for election. So whether it be Mayor Johnson here or the mayors that are kind of fighting for status over there in New York, this is going to be something that's going to be a continued battlefront for sure. And at the end of the day, sanctuary cities aren't about depriving the federal government of their ability to do their jobs. It's about making sure that we're not using state and city resources and state resources to help the federal government do their job. So if the federal government wants to do your job, great, but everything is on you. And especially when it comes to things where we know we're going to be violating people's rights. So at the end of the day, sanctuary cities were intended to protect people's dignity, but now it looks like it's intended to protect people from our very own government. And that's the scariest part about it. And that's why it's that much more important for the cities and for the advocates and for all involved to make sure you fight harder than ever to protect the sanctuary city statuses that are currently in place.
Yeah, and just recently, I mean, we're seeing evidence that the Trump administration is at least stepping back from its previous posture in terms of deploying ICE agents and the National Guard to places like Los Angeles. It seems that some of those law enforcement officials are being redirected to other assignments. Is that just temporary in your view? do you expect this game to continue in terms of, less agents in LA, more agents in Chicago or New York? Talk to us about how you believe local officials should be preparing to manage the effects of Trump's, pledge around accelerating these mass deportation efforts.
Yeah, well, I think the playbook that's currently in place to make sure anything the federal government wants to do to detain or prosecute or fine folks who are undocumented has to be the federal government's case. It has to be the ICE case. It's not something that's assisted by a local DA. It's not something assisted by local police. This is something that is just federal jurisdiction. Then let the federal government handle it. That in of itself will require not only a stronger case to be set up, but also the stretching of the resources such that where only the people that Trump is, the current administration is saying they really want to get the people who have committed crimes will probably be the ones who actually are rounded up. But in this case, and what's going on now, there are cities, there are local governments who are cooperating. There are local governments that are actually putting out bounties on individuals to make sure that anyone you see who could even be perceived as undocumented, like what's going on in Missouri or otherwise, you have incentive to be a vigilante as a commoner, as a normal community member, to act as this defender of the peace. And that's where you get to that really dangerous situation where not only are people being profiled by their government, but also by people locally who don't have any training and don't have any responsibility. And all that creates a sort of explosive cocktail where not only are people being deprived of their rights, but people are living in terror. And that's definitely what's happening right now.
When we come forward, speaking of being deprived of your rights, the Supreme Court for now has paused a lower court decision limiting the Voting Rights Act. We're going to get Todd's hot take on that. Plus, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers announced today that he won't seek a third term. How does that affect the opposition to the MAGA agenda, to the Trump agenda? Every elected official, every governor represents a chess piece on the chessboard. We're going to get Todd's take on what this means for the Midwest region and for we the people across the country. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Todd Belcore, the Executive Director of Social Change, when we come forward.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Rapper and producer Jay-Z is backing a Caesars Entertainment casino bid in Times Square, pitching it at a New York Gaming Commission meeting.
We're not coming to compete with Broadway. We're coming to add. We're coming to be additive. Anything that we've done in the past, we've always included the community.
The plan, backed by SL Green and Caesars, promises $23 billion in revenue and 4,000 jobs. It's one of 8 bids for 3 downstate casino licenses. Chicago homeowners could see higher property taxes next year. The city's chief financial officer says a hike is likely due to the budget crisis, though Black Mayor Brandon Johnson says no final decision has been made. And former Illinois Deputy Sean Grayson, charged with killing a Black woman, 36-year-old Sonia Massey, last July, has been moved back to Sangamon County Jail for medical treatment related to stage 3 colon cancer. His trial is set for October 20th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
A crash in Fountain Valley, 405 northbound past Euclid, blocking the left lane, and delays are backing up all the way out of Irvine. Overall slowing getting away from Irvine Center Drive. It's also very slow right now as you make your way along the 10 out of Santa Monica. Eastbound delays, Cloverfield all the way to the 5 in Boyle Heights. Very tough in Rubidoux. East 60 jamming up from just before Rubidoux Boulevard. Delays and stretches all the way to Heacock Street.
Join the Dodgers on August 6th for Shohei Ohtani World Champion Ring Night at Dodger Stadium versus the Cardinals. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in and take home a special Shohei Ohtani World Champions ring. Celebrate Ohtani's record-breaking season. For info, visit Dodgers.com KBLA.com/promotion.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A very important stretch of the season is coming up for the Dodgers. After losing 11 of their last 15 games, the Dodgers start a 9-game road trip tomorrow in Boston. In spite of the recent slump, the Dodgers are one of 6 teams with at least 60 wins. They lead San Diego by 4.5 in the NL West. Clippers guard Bradley Beal has given up his number 3 jersey to veteran point guard Chris Paul, who signed with the Clippers last week. Paul has worn number 3 during his entire 20-year career in the NBA. Beal, a 13-year veteran, wore number 3 when he played for Washington and Phoenix. The 40-year-old Paul has indicated he plans to retire after the season. At age 39 last season, Paul started all 82 games with San Antonio. Paul has started 97% of the games he's played in with 7 teams, including New Orleans, the Clippers, Houston, OKC, Golden State, and Phoenix. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah,
Gotta give us what we want.
Gotta give us what we need.
Hey. I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chucky. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Los Angeles is rebuilding after the fires. If you call Altadena home, you understand the toll and the challenge of rebuilding. Now is your chance to shape the future of our neighborhood. Through Engaged California, survivors like you can help guide how we rebuild. Quickly, thoughtfully, and with lasting resilience. It's safe, it's anonymous, and it's powerful.
Fire is a highly traumatic experience. There should be counselors available as soon as possible and shelters to help people cope.
I've been reaching out about my recovery plan. It's not that doors are getting slammed. It's that no one answers my knock.
2 friends of mine lost everything, and I have thought of them every single day since the fire. People need to process this, and they need all the help they can get.
These are real stories shared by survivors. Your experience can drive real action. Your story can help us build back stronger. We need to hear from you because no one knows your community like you do. Through Engaged California, survivors of the wildfires have the power to shape how we recover together. Your voice, your Altadena. You help decide. Visit engaged.ca.gov and sign up now.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and he is Todd Belcore, the Executive Director of Social Change. He is one of the great leaders that we have an opportunity to talk with from time to time that is on the front lines. He is not calling plays from the cheap seats. He is right there in the mix. And one of the issues that has that you've long championed has been around voting rights and civic engagement. And so when I saw this headline today, I immediately thought, very timely, being that I'll be in conversation with Todd Belcore today. The New York Times reporting that the Supreme Court announced today that it would block for now, a federal appeals court ruling that would sharply curtail the Voting Rights Act by limiting who can sue to enforce protections against racial discrimination. Todd Belcore, for those of us that are not lawyers or constitutional scholars, what does this mean?
Absolutely. What it means is this is not only an attempt to dismantle the Voting Rights Act, this is an attempt to dismantle democracy in general. Because what it means on its face is preventing people from having a chance to fight and protect their voting rights. So what happens is if I have an issue being voted on, being deprived access to the vote, I may not have the power or the ability or the capacity to bring a suit, but an organization can recognize the phenomenon taking place in particular precincts, particular counties, particular states, and bring a suit on behalf of several people, a group of people, a class of people. This is completely limiting the capacity of organizations to do that and really putting more of the onus on the individuals who don't have the resources, don't have the capacity, and may not even have the energy to even put up a fight that can take several years like this. So this is really gutting the ability of the community to have advocates fight on their behalf. And the administration is aware of it. Of the fact that it's being frozen right now, don't be tricked by that. That freeze will thaw, and that will result in this becoming something that's going to be entertained by the Supreme Court. The question is when, and the question is what are we going to do to fight against it? And I recommend that anyone who cares about our democracy, anyone who cares about voter disenfranchisement, this is the time to stand up and fight, because what's going to happen, not only will it be harder for people to fight to protect their rights, it means that elected officials and legislatures will be able to choose who their voters are, and that's the most dangerous game of all.
This decision was unsigned and it didn't provide the court's reasoning, which is pretty typical in emergency orders. For folks who don't follow this as closely, they should know that the Trump administration, compared to previous administrations, Biden, Obama, George W. Bush, Clinton, George H.W. Bush, it seems that in a very short period of time, they've actually had more decisions from the Supreme Court by way of emergency order than any other previous administration in recent history. Todd, what's that about?
I only chuckle because it's about the very thing that politicians generally, when they run for office, they campaign against. It's activism judges. It's judges who are taking power and taking precedent into their own hands. So despite the fact that the entire government and the entire generations of the United States and the voters and the electorate have decided the Voting Rights Act is good for the community, good for the democracy, one administration without the capacity to change it through the legislature is weaponizing the court to make wholesale changes to things that are really the bedrock of how we operate as a society. So that's what activism judges are known for bucking precedent, for doing things that are more political versus more consistent with the will of the people. And that's exactly what's taking place now. I just laugh because the irony of it is that is something that is always campaigned against. Campaign against activism judges. This is why people weren't allowing President Obama to appoint, and when it's time for Garland to have a consideration, and this is why people are saying wait for Hillary and all those things, because you want to make sure that people have a chance to weigh in. But what happens in reality, even when people are weighing in, the politics takes over, and you have things like this take place, which is kind of behind closed doors. Not many people follow things like frozen and emergency orders, but it has a real effect on people's lives.
You think President Obama, do you think he regrets not pushing forward with just placing Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court? I mean, look at what has happened in the past decade or two as a result of the composition of the U.S. Supreme Court. So many decisions that so many folks had believed was settled law. Roe v. Wade being one of them. The Voting Rights Act being another one. There's so many people that believe this was settled law because you had Supreme Court nominees go before the Senate Judiciary Committee and say as much. Say that we respect precedent, only to be voted onto the court and do the exact opposite. And so, I know I'm just sort of asking you to weigh in as a matter of opinion. It's not like you just had a conversation with Barack Obama, but do you think that this constitutional scholar turned president You think he may regret not moving forward with just placing Merrick Garland on the court?
I think President Obama, based on how he ran for office, on how he campaigned, and how he's continued to comport himself every moment since, has an overwhelming and just a beautiful faith in the American people. But I think, as you see, in terms of the outcomes, that was just the wrong bet to bet against the vitriol and the willingness to do whatever it takes of the opposing party. So hopefully he has regrets. I mean, I don't think he regrets where his heart was at when he made the decision, but hopefully seeing what's happened since, there are regrets. But that being said, President Obama has been fairly quiet as it relates to speaking out against a lot of these things. So it's there's a reason for that as well. I'm sure he's waiting for a time where it's better for him to assert himself. But if not now, I don't know.
Shortly before we went on air, Democratic Governor Tony Evers announced that he won't be seeking a third term, setting off a scramble to replace the two-term Democrat in the battleground state's first open race for governor in 16 years. Talking about regret, if Democrats aren't able to line up behind a candidate that can win, will this decision come back to haunt Governor Evers? Will this come back to haunt Democrats? Are we looking at a decision that may offer a whole lot more regret if we don't get it together, if Democrats don't get it together quickly?
I mean, this is also, as you mentioned, a surprise decision. This wasn't something that was forecast a long time ago for people to kind of gear up and determine what the succession plan may look like. So you're right, people are generally scrambling. And when you have people scrambling, it means people don't have a plan. A lot of people are jumping in the race. The races can be really convoluted and have a whole bunch of different people, different messages, and that yields a greater likelihood of failure. And I think that's what's going to happen here in Wisconsin. Although the maps are drawn in favor in terms of the General Assembly, and although the congressional maps allow for more potential seats to be picked up by Democrats, if you don't win the governorship, I mean, it's only a hot step and a jump before we get to draw another map in 2030. And whoever controls that office controls what that map's going to look like. So whether it be former Lieutenant Governor Barnes or the current Attorney General or the current Lieutenant Governor Rodriguez, there's definitely a time for the party to come together and say, okay, who can we really get behind and make other concessions for other opportunities that may come down the road to ensure there is some sort of not only unity, but a better position against whatever the potential opponents may be. Because this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. You need to make sure whoever's going to be coming out of that primary is someone who's ready for it and can win.
And just so people understand what importance Wisconsin has on the political chessboard nationally, you might remember that Elon Musk spent over $100 million of his money to try and defeat a Democrat who was running for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And so if you got Elon Musk pumping $100 million into a court race in Wisconsin, that tells you how important Wisconsin is as a political chess piece for the Republican vision for the future of this country. It's also worth noting that the legislature, the Wisconsin legislature, has been under Republican control since 2011. And some Democrats hope that Governor Evers would run for a third term to give him a chance to potentially work with the Democratic controlled state house. And so, this is surprise news. But look, if Democrats are able to quickly line up behind a few candidates that actually have a chance of winning, this, may be, an issue that is water under the bridge, but it doesn't look that way to me.
No. I trust your instincts on that, Doctor, for good reason. I mean, this sounds like what can happen with this upcoming presidential election as well. So people need to not only declare, but declare early, get their fundraising numbers up and show they're battle tested enough to handle what can probably be a $500 million race.
$500 million race. Yikes. But on the other hand, I think it's worth noting a lot of folks out there calling for a changing of the guard. A lot of folks out there saying, older folks in office, move out the way, allow for the next generation to become the leaders of the future that we say we want to have. In a video announcing his decision, Governor Evers said that he was, quotes, damn proud of working for 50 years in public service, but said it was time to focus on his family. How confident are you that younger leaders have been doing the work to prepare for moments like this? You mentioned former Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes, or a number of other sort of younger leaders that represent that passing of the torch. How confident are you that these folks have done the work, are doing the work, and are prepared for that passing of the torch?
Well, I think when you talk about former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, he's been in the streets, he's been organizing, he's been gathering a diverse coalition of voters for a decade now. So he's certainly not only someone who's ready, but he's proven he's ready. Now this becomes a fundraising question. So this is where he can not only show can he organize communities and get a clear message out, which he's already proven he can do, but can you raise the $200 million it's going to take for this office to be won? And I think when you talk about $200 million on the Democratic side, $200 million on the Republican side, and $100 million of ads and things from outside, I mean, this is as contentious as it's going to get. So the party needs to not only keep an eye towards who the stars are, who the up and comers are, but also make sure there's coalescing behind these particular individuals and do whatever they can to quiet the noise and the rumors and all the nonsense that can generally distract and serve as splintering of the vote. The same elders and others who are younger people, whatever generation, who say it's time for new leadership, they need to make sure they put their votes where their mouth is. Because we didn't really see much of that on a national scale when it came to when Vice President Harris was running for president. So all the people say it's time for this, it's time for that. Make sure when it's time to vote, they mean it and they show it at the polls, and they show it by getting other people to vote as well. And time will tell us whether or not that will happen. But this is going to be the new fireworks battleground for sure, because it does determine not only this election for the governor, but who actually can win the presidency the next cycle. And everyone's paying attention knows that. So for that reason, all eyes are going to be on Wisconsin, not just cheese and bratwurst, but governorships and everything this coming cycle.
That's right. Not just cheese and bratwurst. We love to hear that. Listen, Todd, in our remaining minute with you, I've got to ask you this question. I saw an NBC News exit poll. You might have seen the same thing that suggested that nearly 50% of Gen Z men voted for Trump. And so for any Democrat that's running for any office across the country, federal, state, local, you're in the business of social change. You're in the business of organizing communities. What's the one thing you think folks miss when it comes to organizing Gen Z men that clearly the Trump campaign got right?
Well, with any population, when you're campaigning, you have to speak directly to that population. You can't speak past them. You can't speak over them. You can't assume you know what they want. You have to engage the population, build relationships, and listen to what their concerns are, and make sure those concerns are not only represented in your policy platforms, but are things you're meaningfully working towards. And a lot of men, based on the polling, felt like the message from the Democratic Party has left them behind. And that's the kitchen table issues, things like, where am I going to work? What about housing? What about the cost? And those are things that Vice President Harris seemed to hammer home. But I think it needs to be not only the first focus, but the secondary and third focus, because jobs and housing don't just affect men, that affects entire families, that affects everybody. So to stay as focused as they can on jobs, I think that will yield the results that the Democrats need to turn things around in terms of their fortunes of late.
When we come forward, more states are pushing cities to build affordable housing. Speaking of housing, we're going to share a little bit about that. But in the meantime, our thanks to Todd Belcore, the Executive Director of Social Change. If you want to tap into the work that he's leading in places like Chicago, if you want to tap into the work that Social Change is doing across the country, Todd, where can they go?
please check us out at socialchange.site or at Shy Social Change is our Instagram, Facebook, X handle. And we love people to be engaged. We have over 500 volunteers across the nation doing everything from policy work to helping us screen films, to help us with our mini farms that address food insecurity. And as you can see, at a time like this, we need all hands on deck. So if you're at all interested or your heart's at all hurt by what you're hearing going on in the community, join us, be involved, and let's do something about it together.
That's right. That's right. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. God bless you.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and it's about that time for the quiet part out loud. Are you a part of the movement of folks that are frustrated by NIMBYs, as in not in my backyard? Are you frustrated by NIMBYs? Well, states are trying to force cities to build affordable housing. That's what they're trying to do. And if you didn't know, you should know that historically, home ownership built the U.S. middle class, but federal policies that denied those benefits to Black people for generations have led to dire economic consequences. And now there are a lot of people out there that worry that an entire generation of Americans could be shut out. A key problem pushing up prices is the massive housing shortage. We see it here in Los Angeles. I see it in DC. I see it in lots of cities across the country. In large parts of many cities, restrictive zoning rules allow only single-family homes. And while some places, according to NPR, have updated their zoning to allow duplexes and apartments, trying to change the rules, it's often controversial. It's time-consuming. It's costly. And frustrated by this, a growing number of states, both red and blue, have started pushing local governments to build more places people can afford and passing laws that make it easier. Utah, for example, started requiring cities and counties to provide affordable housing options in the 1990s, focused on people who make 80% or less of the local median income. But that rule was easily ignored. So in recent years, the state has amped up both the carrot and the stick, passing laws to encourage development and to enforce its mandate. Towns and counties now have to pick a handful of ways to create denser, cheaper housing and report on their progress every year. In fact, some states are going even further. Texas is the latest to pass a more sweeping law that overrides local zoning to allow smaller homes on smaller lots. And Utah tried that but failed. But there's a lot that's happening across the country when it comes to creating more affordable housing. And so we want to make sure we do our part to uplift those stories. And so stay tuned, more of that in the weeks and months ahead. When we come forward, I'm looking forward to being in conversation with Erica Cobb. She is a journalist and a media maven on a mission. Can't wait to dig into what that mission is and talk about her next chapter after her successful syndicated talk show has come to a close. Plus, I'm making an endorsement. I am making an endorsement for National Association of Black Journalists president. You want to know who? Find out when we come forward. You're listening to a Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York City public schools are finalizing a smartphone ban for all K through 12 students.
That makes sense to me. Any form of contact, I think it should be available to everybody just in case of emergency.
Black Mayor Eric Adams says the ban will also cover tablets and smartwatches, going beyond the state's bell-to-bell phone restrictions. A former defense attorney in the Young Thug RICO case is facing new charges. Nicole Fagan was hit with 3 more counts, including smuggling contraband and gang recruitment, on top of previous charges tied to gang activity and meth trafficking. And a judge has approved Black New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell's emergency trash contract with Henry Consulting, set to start July 31st in the French Quarter and Downtown District. Critics say the emergency was staged to favor the vendor. An appeal is set for early August.